I'm back in my hometown in the north of England, trying to get my 30-year-old Land Cruiser ready for an epic expedition, racing against the clock with only 2 weeks left until my ferry departs for the north of Spain. I've got a sump leak here. I've got a leak from the power steering pump, which is getting kind of bad. You can see all the fluid and stuff here. These are, oh, that's loose as f***. Oh my God.
Better not get this on camera.
That's a dangerous fold.
Good job we were in this pit doing... This is why we do a yearly MOT, to make sure.
Maybe we should include this, actually. I'm gearing up to attempt to tackle the Iberian Trail, a 7,000-mile circumnavigation of the countries of Spain and Portugal. What makes this journey different is that I'm going to try to tackle it without using paved roads, as an epic off-road trail through some of Europe's toughest trails and tracks. I'll be travelling alone and unsupported in my 30-year-old 70 Series Land Cruiser with a DIY camper conversion. This Overland Build has taken me around the world, but after several punishing off-road expeditions, it's time for a proper overhaul. I'm going to need to strip this thing down to its bare bones and rebuild everything from bodywork to mechanical components before I try to tackle the Iberian Trail. This expedition will be a world first. I don't think anyone's ever attempted a circumnavigation of this peninsula using only unpaved roads, much less try it alone in a DIY 4x4. My route will begin in Bilbao, in the Basque Country in northern Spain. It'll then meander westwards, close to the historic route to Santiago de Compostela, before turning southwards, traversing Portugal north to south, along its mountainous, rugged border with Spain. I'll then cut eastwards, traversing vast deserts and high mountain ranges, before completing the off-road route through the Pyrenees Mountains, and finish up back in Bilbao for a complete circumnavigation of the Iberian Peninsula. But before I can do any of this, I need to build my vehicle up so it can take the 7,000-mile off-road punishment that I'm about to put it through. And all of this begins in a tiny garage in my grey and freezing hometown of Carlisle in Cumbria. This is my friend Ben, who's going to be helping me on the cruiser rebuild. Alright, here we are at the garage.
Don't like being in the garage.
Ben doesn't like being at the garage, but we're here. Okay, so we're here under the vehicle in the pit, and we're going to do a check over of all the components today. So I've got MOT season coming up here, which is the British MOT road test. We're going to go through the MOT checklist and check all the components for play and wear and all that kind of thing. So I'm going to go through all the suspension components, look at these leaks, look at the brakes, and we're going to kind of figure out what we need to do to get it through this test. The other things that I need to do while I'm under here are, this is where my water tank goes. Right here you can see the supports. So I'm going to be putting a new stainless steel water tank under here. I previously had poly tanks and they've always ruptured eventually. And so I'm going to be spacing these further out, and we're going to put a tank under here. I'm obviously going to pipe it all in with these existing pipes, maybe replace that one. I'm going to be checking the rear shocks and all of the suspension components. We're going to be checking the U-joints for play on both prop shafts, this one and the front one. And I'm going to be changing all my brake calipers and discs. There's a problem on one of the rear brake calipers. One of the threads has stripped, and it's a small problem, but these calipers are pretty old, and I'm thinking before I take on this 7,000-mile off-road expedition, it'd be worthwhile just to replace them, and then I know they're all good. We're going to be also giving it an under seal. So I'm going to go under here, blast all this dirt and muck and stuff off, and seal everything, all of the underbody, the sills, try and get in the sills. This is actually getting really bad, dude, and I feel like I need to fucking repair it, eh? Is it still recording?
Yeah, it's still recording.
Okay, gotcha.
In fact, I'm loading this one too.
Oh, that's great.
To YouTube Shorts right now.
Oh shit.
What?
Movement, dude. These are, oh, that's loose as f***. Oh God.
Better not get this on camera.
So actually, we've just found a potentially catastrophic issue, and this is why it's good to do a crawl through on these things every now and then. Check this out. These nuts are finger tight on my hanger springs. That's wild. That must have happened in the last kind of few months, because I did do a check before I went through on the last expedition and everything was fine, and that's just go to show how much things move around when you're off-road. So yeah, that's pretty good that we caught that today. The packer piece here is actually moving, so yeah, really good that we did this. We'll get those tightened up. So the other things that we're going to do under here are try and take care of some of these leaks. So I've got a few different leaks. I've got a sump leak here. I've got a leak from the power steering pump, which is getting kind of bad. You can see all the fluid and stuff here. I have tried to deal with that before and failed, and so I'm hoping to get us a seal pack and be able to...
At least you've got a spider web in your hair.
Great. And one with nature in here, bro.
Maybe dust off the whole back of your head.
Yeah?
Right now. Yeah.
That's great, bro.
It's
We're going to try and take care of all of these leaks if possible during this rebuild. The other thing is, we're just going to go through and grease everything up. So all the grease nipples on the suspension components, on the steering components, everything's going to get a good old grease. We're going to check the shocks. So these shocks I put on about 4 years ago, and I've had a good old workout off-road. They are OME shocks, which are renowned for being really, really good. But now is the time to give them a check. So I'm going to pop them off and just see if they return or whether they're loose. And if they're loose and don't return, then I'll replace them all. Alright, so another thing that we've found during our crawl through here is excessive play in the front prop shaft. So you see there on the yoke, it's become worn. This is something that is not a massive deal for regular driving because this prop shaft is not in use under normal circumstances. It only engages when it's in 4. But at that point, that kind of wear is becoming intolerable, and I think it will probably be an MOT failure as well. So we're going to replace this whole prop shaft. We're going to buy the whole unit with the UJs on and just replace everything. Alright, so this is going to be one of the first jobs that I do. These wing mirrors have had a really hard life, and as you can see, they're kind of suffering. The one on the other side is even worse. It has a big crack over it. And so I'm going to be building my own system for mounting these on a new bracket. What I'm thinking right now is that we're going to get a piece of steel and bend it into kind of like a triangular shape and have it mount on down here, which will give you 2 points of contact rather than the kind of like one. I'm not really counting that because it's not very good. And I will have 2 pivot points, one here, so that when I'm off-road and these get hit by trees and all kinds of, you know, plant life and that, it's not doing damage to the mirror like it is right now. The problem with this one, it has a rigid point here and it doesn't pivot, whereas this new design is going to pivot here, so they'll be able to come right all the way in. So it'll be kind of make it up as I go along kind of system. So one of the main reasons for getting this whole place is that I want to do a bunch of bodywork and repaint into this cruiser. As you can see, it's had a bit of a hard life, and I'm not quite sure what to do with this particular patch of damage, to be honest. This came from my 1,000 miles off-road trip. You might remember I turned it on its side several different times, and this was the result of one of those times. Some of these scratches are really, really deep. I mean, actually calling them scratches is probably inaccurate. And so I'm not sure really what to do. I want to know what you think that I should do with this. Should I go to the effort and expense of trying to fill these scratches in and build up body filler and repaint? Or do you think that I should somehow build them into the aesthetic of the vehicle? They are battle scars at the end of the day. I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments below. So we're going to check these shocks at the rear of the vehicle right now. So to do that, we're going to pull these bolts off and pop them off the hangers. These should, when we pop them off the hanger, push right out. And then we're going to push them in, and we're going to want to see them pushing back out again. If they don't do any of that, then we know that the shocks have problems. But the normal way to check shocks is to give the vehicle a bounce in each corner and to see whether it continues to bounce or whether the shock does its job and dampens that bounce. But with this vehicle, with it being heavy and custom, it's kind of difficult to do that. And also, I have kind of, when going around corners, felt it's not handling as well as it used to. I'm not sure whether that's just my perception or whether it is something else. So that's why I'm taking these off to actually check them manually. Otherwise, you can kind of do a pretty good test with the bounce. But before any of that, these big washers have actually been caught on rocks and stuff on both sides actually. So we're going to need to hammer these out before I can get a socket piece on there to actually pull these off and do the whole job. So I'm going to do that right now. So now I'm going to try to get this in here and not destroy my screwdriver in the process. Usually you try to use something other than a screwdriver, but as we all know, the screwdriver is a chisel. So it's fine, basically. Kind of getting there. I actually think I could probably get that on there now. All right. Oh, lovely. Too easy. Oh, actually, dude, it's a finger tight. It's a finger tight, like everything else on this car. We'll cut that part out. Okay, moment of truth here. Okay, that feels. Okay, we're gonna hope that this pops right off and extends itself. Which it doesn't.
Try pushing it up or down and see if it re-extends.
Huh. It is actually.
Yeah.
It might have been at its furthest extension there, which would actually make. That's pretty good, eh? Should it do it faster?
No, you should just.
Seems good to me, bro.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, tell me what you guys think. Let us know in the comments. Is this a good shock? Or is this a bad shock? It's anyone's guess over here. Alright, so we're now going to do the other side. So I'm going to crack that nut. Okay. Looks good to me.
I'm a little bit slow, or?
I mean, maybe. Yeah, we're gonna call these good and put them back on. Okay, so we're gonna deal with this hanger spring situation here. I think it's a 22. Yes, it is. This is the one that's gotten loose over time. So we're gonna take it off, give it a blast down with some brake cleaner, and reassemble it all to torque. So, take that off. Great example of why it's good. Scroll through and check things on the regular. There you go. Down there nicely. Alright, so we've got this tightened up, the slack taken out, so now we're going to torque it. So it seems like the factory manual says 92 foot-pounds. A lot of people online are saying they're doing them to 100, so I guess I'm going to do 95 or something like that.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah. Okay, so good on both of those.
You can see the oil squeezing out between the leaves.
Can you?
Tighten it up.
Oh God. Do you think I should change these, all of them?
It never hurts to have everything new and shiny and strong.
I'm sort of tempted to, rather than doing this, just buy new ones and put them on there. For the sake of £5 or something. I think I'm gonna buy new ones, dude.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'll get into a frigging trail somewhere and have one popping off and it'll be a nightmare.
Regret.
This very moment, yeah. I don't want to regret this very moment. So now we're going to check the front steering components, so the steering rack and all the ball joints and track rod ends and stuff underneath there. How we're going to do this is Ben's going to go into the cab, turn the wheel. I'm going to go under there, and as he's doing so, just look for any play in the ball joints and track rod ends. I'll put my hand on them and try and feel for any clicking and that kind of thing. It's a pretty simple test, so we're going to do that now. Go into the cab, bro.
Okay.
Okay. The bro's going into the cab. I think that's fine. Yeah, that feels okay. Yeah, that's good. To the side. Very nice. Let's get in here. Also good. Yeah, they're all good. Really quick and simple test. Just to check if all of your steering components are good or not. I will be greasing all of the steering components that have grease nipples on them. So the track rod ends have a grease nipple, and so you want to do that periodically. I try to do it very regularly because it extends the life of the joint considerably. Pushing new grease in, it pushes all the dirt and the dirty grease and all that kind of stuff out as well. So you're refreshing the grease inside the unit.
Just like an oil change.
Just like an oil change. Alright, so the other thing that I'm going to be tackling over the next few days is this rear hub. So you might remember I did a whole lot of work to these hubs because this has been a continual nightmare for the last 5 years of it shearing its studs and stuff, and so I had these all cored out and drilled out for a larger size, and I've been using these cap head bolts instead of the original studs. But I think during the last time that I reassembled these, I must have nicked the oil seal inside of the hub, and so you can see that I've got a ton of axle oil leaching out around the hub. So I'm gonna have to disassemble all this again, take all these out, pull the axle out, replace that seal, put it all back together again, and hopefully it'll stop leaking. All right, so that's a pretty good rundown of all the things we have planned on this vehicle over the next couple of days. It's getting pretty dark and pretty cold right now, so we're gonna wrap it up now and go home and then come back here tomorrow morning and start all over again. I'll see you then.